Hi, and thank you for joining me on another episode of the Tech Exec Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Aviv Ben Yosef, advisor and tech executive consultant. And today, let's talk about power moves. I'm reminding you I'm having this experiment, so this episode of the podcast is also available as a video version. You can check out the show notes to see it. Now, let's talk about power moves. This is going to be a brief one. I want to talk a bit about how you can boost your agency, your autonomy, your self-esteem as an executive. And this is a little trick that I've been doing with many clients and seeing that it can really help those of us, if you're like me, more, inherently on the less pushy side of things. Okay? And I'm going to put it in that. So, power moves, this is not about being a douchebag. This is not about, putting your feet up on the table. This is not about having a nice chalk stripe suit that you wear to work, even though, I can go for that. No, this is about allowing yourself the autonomy, the agency to make decisions so that you, my friend, will actually be an executive, a leader, because otherwise you're just a glorified manager, someone who has a nice title but is not using your powers, your responsibility, your capabilities, your autonomy, not wielding it correctly. So, how do you pull off a power move? It's really easy. Just when you need to start noticing, training your head, training your mind to notice when you have an idea and you have that immediate instinct of shooting it down because, no, I can do that. They never let me do that. That's not my role. That's not my responsibility. I don't care. I want you to start by noticing those. I sound like a broken record, but I keep telling my clients that one of the best things you can do is have a notebook and write down those things. Write down when you have ideas. Write down when you have thoughts. It trains your mind. It primes you to notice those things. And if you've been shooting them down for years, it can be hard to get over this initial hump. So start noticing them, write them down. Now, 2, I want you to think about what is the worst case scenario realistically. Okay, not your nightmares of, oh my God, someone says Aviv just did something we didn't allow specifically to do in the contract. Let's now throw him from the top of the building. Nope. I'm guessing your boss is not Hamas. So, I'm hoping at least. So, realistically speaking, what is the worst that can happen? If anything, all of the startup environments I'm in, even when I'm working with people who are really obnoxiously micromanagers as executives and CEOs, they love seeing people take initiative. So even if they're a micromanager and they're going to ask you a bunch of questions as you're taking the initiative, they like the fact that you're in charge, that you're pushing something on your own. This is the dream of every CEO I've worked with. So with that in mind, the power move is to, if you think about, this is an Alan Weiss sort of thing. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Imagine a gauge with a dial that goes, all the way down, like when you're looking at the speed in your car at 0, you'd have no permission at all. You're just waiting to be told what to do like a little kid. All the way on the other end, when you're, obviously speeding way too much, you have people who just assume they have all the permission in the world. They're not asking anyone. They're not stepping on toes. They're crushing them. You don't want to be there. You don't also want to be in the middle. You want to be right around where we're at the speed limit or a bit beyond, like most sane people nowadays drive. And you're just above that because you allow yourself to go fast enough and you'll give yourself the permission to do that. How does that look? Instead of, for everything, you just automatically assume no reason to go do that. That's the worst case scenario. Instead of asking for permission for every single initiative you have, every idea, because that's just bogging things down and letting go of urgency, start assuming that unless there's a really good reason not to, you can just do it. you're thinking about changing things up in your organization, you want to change the process a bit, you want to purchase some software that you think can help you do X or Y, whatever it is, go for it. Take the initiative. Ask your people to work differently, invest in that opportunity, have that bit of innovation, introduce intermissions into your workflow. Whatever it is, just tell yourself, I've got permission. Sometimes when I'm working with people, the exercise that we do is just, I'm telling them, tell me what you'd like to do. And I told them, you have my permission, as if I can say anything to the company. But I just say that you have my permission to do that. You have my permission to decide about this. You have my permission to decide not to decide about this. Sometimes we just need to talk about it to someone else. Yeah, that's sometimes more work is easy. And you need to do that to move faster. And what you're going to find out as you pull off the power move is that people actually get used to you taking the initiative very, very fast. Especially if most of the times you end up doing things that work, that make sense, that even if they don't work, it doesn't mean that the company is now in ruins. If you're iterating and moving fast, people love that. It's actually quite refreshing to work with someone who is a pusher, who gets things done, who is not just sitting there on their hands waiting to be told what to do. I know which sort of leader I'd like to be. I'm guessing you can tell too. So, what's going to be your power move this week? Let me know. You have my email in the show notes, and I'd really love to hear if you have an idea, if you're having trouble implementing this. Maybe I can help you out. Okay? Check it out. Thank you, as always, for joining me. You can find in the show notes a link to my newsletter, which is the best newsletter for tech executives, which every week contains 3 exclusive insights, an article, this podcast, and sometimes some extra video content and other things like cute pictures of my family. My kids are cute, no matter what you think of me. So check it out. Thank you. I'll be here next week.